Where do we start?
So, Blade Runner 2049 has arrived, and if you've been keeping up to date with us on this channel or elsewhere on our social media pages, then you would know that we have been very, very excited for this film for quite a very long time.
It's the number one most anticipated movie of this year, and, you know, with good reason.
And of course we're freaking excited because, my goodness, A, this film is the sequel to Blade Runner, a sci-fi freaking masterpiece, and B, it's directed by Denis Villeneuve.
And he did obviously our number one film of last year, Arrival. He's also, every other film he's made has been fantastic, from Incendies to Prisoners, Enemy, Sicario. This guy is the realest of deals. So that is the main reason why we were so excited. And they have turned the most unnecessary sequel of all time into possibly the greatest sequel of all time.
And the reason why we were getting so excited for such a long time is because who is a part of this project? I mean, let's just start with Roger Deakins on cinematography.
The greatest cinematographer on earth, perhaps.
And then, of course, over on the soundtrack, we've got Hans Zimmer and Benjamin Wallfisch, who took over from Johan Johansson. But anyway, they've done a fantastic job, and of course, the cast here is absolutely wonderful, and I must say, the greatest casting possibly.
I've seen it a long time! The casting is so good, everyone is so perfect for their roles. We have Ryan Gosling, we have Harrison Ford, we have Jared Leto, we have Dave Bautista, we have Robin Wright, we have Ana de Armas, Mackenzie Davis. There are so many more actors that you'll have seen from other things in here that are just pitch perfect for their roles. We are not going to say shit about the plot. We're going to put hardly any footage over this video to show you the film, because every single second of this film is a spoiler. I want to reiterate that on this channel we are always trying to avoid trailers. This consolidated the fact that if we are super excited for a film, we're not doing anything more than a teaser reaction anymore, because the less of this film you've seen, the better position you're in to get absolutely fucking demolished. Denis Villeneuve has a thing at the beginning of the film in our screening that said, please do not go out and talk about the film, do not tell people anything, because there is stuff from the very first scene that you're like, oh, we actually, you know, we've seen this stuff in trailers, but we still had no idea that this is how it was going to play out. It is mind-blowing from the start.
Yeah, the plot has really been kept under wraps here, and it is just, I mean, like, credit to Warner Brothers. I mean, they have shown a lot in the trailers, but credit to them for hiding the actual plot of this film and keeping so much under wraps. I mean,
from the get-go, it's
everything, absolutely everything. Kudos to them.
And I just want to say, from the second shot, this film is brilliant. For me, while I was watching it, I never got to see The Dark Knight in cinemas, and for the first decade of this century, The Dark Knight was the it thing, and I feel like seeing this, sitting there watching this, I was seeing that blockbuster, that one blockbuster that was just the thing that people are going to talk about, are going to pick apart, are going to pull apart, because it is so brilliant on every single level. This film is it. This is that film in my lifetime that I get. And I just cannot put into words how exciting that is.
And not just you, we all get this film. And the thing is as well, like I said before we walked in, I said, you know, I think this is going to be the film that we all wanted Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace to be. A sequel to a franchise that had been established, a sequel to a film that was just so iconic, and we were all so excited for it, and then it let us down. But I think this is what everyone wanted with Star Wars Episode 1, and guess what? It is what everyone wanted with a Blade Runner sequel, because they have nailed everything here. They've opened up the world, they've opened up the stories, and they have just made it feel like Blade Runner, but it is also a sequel, and it is just its own thing, and it's...
The feeling that we had when we walked out was we were completely and utterly stunned. Comparisons are going to be made between this and the original. Well, yes, it completely is a sequel to Blade Runner. It also somehow does not feel anything like the original. The film is so brilliant on its own regard, and is so impeccably designed, and is so, I guess, modern. It is not trying to harken back to the 80s. This is not one of these sequels that's super delayed and is trying to run off the nostalgia from the original. Yes, there's tons of brilliant references to it, and it relies on the same characters and stories and world completely, but this film is completely its own thing. It's like, nope, we're going to go out and make this film for 2017, and it is going to last, because this film is just brilliant in its own regard in every possible way, and that all comes down, I think, to the way this film is directed. Denis Villeneuve is officially one of the greatest directors of the 21st century. If not, he is now the owner of this decade as far as I'm concerned. But with all the films he's made, it is between him and Nolan clearly as the best director of this decade, because holy shit.
But when you have an output like this back to back to back to back to
He's
back to
making
back to
a
back to
film
back to back
per
to back
year
to
at
back,
this quality.
it is just absolutely freaking ridiculous. I mean, like, this is a man that just knows exactly what to do, and like it shows here, because you know when he needs to get up and be masterful in a close scenario, he will do that. When he needs to get coverage, he will do that. But like, he just knows how to create a freaking film and get everything out of it.
Personal, and it's enormous, but it's minuscule at the same time. This is what all blockbusters should be. This is the standard. This is why when we pick apart these films that people are going crazy for, it's because they're not meeting this standard. This is the gold standard now for sequels. Unfortunately, this is it. Like, this is the gold. This is what I'm accepting. Nothing less than this. Anything less than this is disappointing. This film is art and blockbuster money-making type thinking of producers combined. This is where they intersect. What we will say about the story is that it is genius. I would never have expected a Blade Runner sequel to go where this film does. I mean, how do you do a sequel to Blade Runner? They have found an incredible way to handle it, and I think this film is not an action movie, no matter what the trailers have led you to believe. This is a slow burn detective mystery. The fact that it works as well as it does is just brilliant. Like, this is, I think the pacing's going to bother some people. There's some people that are going to go in and be forced to think and be forced to feel and be forced to kind of, like, I don't quite often see blockbusters where I have to try to think to stay on the same pace as the film, but I was actually being challenged to keep up with just how kind of intelligent this movie is. We don't get that often enough, and that needs to be celebrated. The story here is excellent.
Yeah, it's a detective story, and the thing is, I think what people will struggle with is you have to wait while watching this film, because this film builds. I mean, like, it's like watching a little kid just build his blocks as they get taller and taller and taller, and the stakes in this film, I mean, I love my stakes in real life, and I love my stakes in film, but I have never seen stakes like this before. These are absolutely unbelievable. We have never seen a director, you know, ever do this, you know, and I think it's a combination between the script here and also the director Denis coming on board and, you know, building the film to all of a sudden just punch you halfway through, and you're like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
The story has a way of constantly evolving and growing and reshaping itself and restructuring it, using elements that have popped up, and it's cool. All right, let's realign and rework that type of thing and keep it moving along in a way that we just don't get to see blockbusters move. Each scene has an amazingly distinct feeling, like you're getting a different slice of the world. The original Blade Runner was kind of just swamped in this feeling of LA and getting you immersed. This movie clips along a lot faster, considering it's a lot longer, but each kind of scene feels like a distinct slice of something we haven't seen previously, and that is incredibly difficult to do.
Which allows it, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it, but it allows it to kind of become a classic in many ways already, because of the fact that you've got so many scenes in this blockbuster that stand out. When you walk out of it, we start talking about it, and we go, this, and this. Moment, and then you go, oh my god, then there was this, and this. And you go, oh my god, there was this, and this. And, you know, people, you know, will dislike some things and like other things, but there is so much to talk about and break down because of the way it is structured.
Denis brings a lot of that kind of metaphorical, kind of symbolic direction that he used in Arrival. I think going back and kind of deconstructing this movie, you're going to see a lot in the way he's composed shots, juxtapose ideas, contrasted things, combine them. You're going to get a lot of really, like, this is going to be one of those movies just really, really fun to pick apart.
And as we said earlier, the casting of this film is pitch perfect, but the actors are also pitch perfect here. I mean, they all have their specific roles to play, and to talk about them in depth reveals spoilers, so we won't do that. But across the board,
there's stuff they've hidden so well.
Everyone is absolutely freaking incredible. Everyone gets chances to deliver some absolutely mind-blowing scenes. For me, without a doubt, this is Harrison Ford's best performance ever, hands down. I'm sure he will get some award recognition in time. He just gets.
It's kind of his Creed role. Like, Sylvester Stallone had that kind of coming back, and I guess he's already, like, Harrison Ford has already done it with Han Solo, but I think here
it's next level. I mean, like, it's next level. It's absolutely beautiful to watch.
They target an emotional connection to the character, and that's just brilliant.
And of course, Ryan Gosling is absolutely fantastic. Jared Leto nails his role.
Yeah, Jared Leto was really, really good here. Robin Wright was fantastic.
Dave Bautista, really, really great, and they actually made him look a lot older.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting thing. Like, they actually brought Bautista in to be emotional, and I thought that was incredible.
Played on the detail of pieces.
Can you stop getting words wrong, please? Harrison Ford.
played on the detail of people's faces, and I absolutely love that.
Just really
because
patient.
That's what you need.
Using the close-ups. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Sylvia Hoeks, this is the first movie I've seen her do. She is absolutely, like, she's a scene stealer here. She is fantastic. I think the real star of the show for both of us here was Ana de Armas. She was fantastic in War Dogs, whenever that film came out. I can't remember right now. But here, there's some stuff that the trailers haven't even shown with her character that I think has actually misdirected a lot of people into believing this film is about something it is not about. But her in this movie is just she's just wow. Also, Mackenzie Davis. There's just some scenes in this movie. We're doing a spoiler review because we need to talk about them because oh boy,
just performances here that everyone absolutely slays.
Boy.
Kills it.
And speaking of absolutely killing it,
Deakins, Roger freaking Deakins. Roger Deakins.
It's already one of the best looking films of all time, I believe. The photography here is, and not just the photography, the visual effects team here has knocked it out of the park. I can't even talk. The visual effects team has knocked it out of the park. This is the best visual effects I've ever seen, and probably the best cinematography I've seen. I'm just going to put that out there. It is not like the first one. It's a lot more kind of clean cut, and there's not all this smoke and stuff all the time. It's a very different looking film, and I think that's a big part of separating the two. But Deakins here just
freaking jaw-dropping. I mean, within the first half an hour, you're kind of like, okay, Deakins is killing it, but as the film progresses, he gets his time to shine. And I mean literally, like, Deakins steals scenes here, like, from the actors, where, like, you've just got lighting arrangements that are just absolutely mind-blowing. Things where you think, oh my god, I think that's VFX. No, it's practical lighting, and it's like, Deakins, my man, my boy.
Just unreasonable. This guy's had 13 Oscar nominations. He's going to get a lot of awards attention across the board, but this is his year for that Oscar, just putting that out there right now. And that's without even talking about how fantastic the editing is and all the other, like, the sound design in this movie is fantastic. The soundtrack here, it does not play as big a part as the soundtrack in the original did, but it is completely appropriate and completely kind of not, I don't want to use the term sufficient, it's actually excellent. It services the movie, but is excellent in its own right.
It's just absorbing. I think, you know, like, all the sounds here are incredibly absorbing, and between, you know, everything technical lined up, between the production design, the cinematography, the lighting, you know, the soundtrack, the sound design, everything working together, it just invests you further and further into this world, and you're just so far in it, you're just like, oh my god.
The world is never not completely believable. The construction of this movie, the construction and design of the world is just flawless. It is completely believable from the get-go.
And speaking about the world, this is something that I do want to raise, which would be very interesting moving forward and into a rewatch of this film, because when I first finished, I was like, you know, we were worried a little bit about the screenwriter, but the screenwriter absolutely nailed it here.
Fantastic.
But the person we could have been a little bit more worried about was the person from the get-go, the man behind the images, the producer, Ridley Scott. The man behind the original. Yes, he is an absolute maestro, but the thing is, what Ridley Scott and Sony have wanted from this sequel is sequels. They have wanted a franchise from Blade Runner.
And we don't want that. We don't need that either.
And now there is definitely scenes here which are really kind of stretch their arm out for more films.
It's kind of open-ended or cuts off in that type of, oh, better luck next time, you'll get that information next time, and you're just like...
And it didn't really bother me because at the same time, as much as I'm kind of like, oh my god, I kind of wish it was just this enclosed sequel, we were never going to get that, if we're honest. I mean, we're living 30 years later and we're getting a sequel to Blade Runner, so of course they're going to do more eventually. So, at the same time, the other side of me goes, hey, are we going to get a franchise like Star Wars now? Are we going to get a Blade Runner franchise? You know, if I'm going to say...
Is that a good thing?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know.
know.
I'm really open to discussion about it, but I tell you what, right now I'm feeling yes.
Yes, but it's going to very much depend on the team that keeps coming back, because you're not going to get Villeneuve the second time, I don't feel, so you need to be very, very picky with who comes on board. I do just want to say that for me, yeah, it definitely did affect certain scenes, particularly the ending of the film. There were certain parts where I just didn't think I connected, because I was like, are they doing that? No.
But at the same time, on a rewatch and a reflection in the future, you just don't know how you're going to feel about it, because at this point in time, in 2017, it's so hard to tell, especially when you get a sequel, and you know, we've just got producers out there that just want franchises and franchises and franchises. It's really hard to tell, but right now, I don't know. So do keep in mind, we have literally just walked out of the cinema. We are waking up tomorrow to go and see the film
again. I'm probably going to see it again after that, and again after that, and again after that.
But we will do another video on Blade Runner because we need to talk about this film more. We need to talk about it in spoilers, and we need to wait for everyone else to see it and share the experiences that we had.
And the experience that we did have was incredible. This truly was just a magical cinema experience. This film is stunning from top to bottom. Everyone involved brings their A game. This is just a film that is impressive to a degree that I cannot even put into words. Well, yes, we were kind of ticked off by little things, I think, that were kind of studio type involvement with setting up potential sequels that I kind of hope don't happen. The rest of the film is just completely stunning, mind-blowing, an incredible achievement, and that is why we are giving this one a 9.8 out of 10.
Just a freaking jaw-dropping sci-fi classic masterpiece. Denny.
I cannot wait to see people pick this apart for years to come. It is going to be that movie. I cannot wait to see more coming from people talking about this movie. I want people to see it. I love this movie so much. So that was our review of Blade Runner 2049. Have you seen it yet?
Did you like it?
Did you hate it?
Did you like this video? Crave more banter.
If so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel down there somewhere.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Breaking Banter.